I dissolve myself in the divine will, and make myself present within the prayers of our Blessed Mother, as she covered and repaired for all the sins of the people of Israel, and made use of God's acts of mercy and power to beseech the longed-for Redeemer. I intend to repeat her prayers and sighs, and I make my own God's infinite acts throughout all salvation history, in order to beseech the kingdom of the divine will to reign on earth as in heaven. I follow you, divine will, and I make myself present in the days in which Israel had no king. The people dwelt in the partially conquered land of Canaan, but they still had much more of the promised lands to overtake. I glorify you, my God, with the life of Caleb, who had been one of the 12 spies Moses sent to scout the land, but now in his old age he is an elder leader of the tribe of Judah. I love you with Caleb's faithfulness that he displayed through all his life, and in the victories that he led Israel into. I glorify you, my God, in the victories your people had over the Canaanites as you gave into their hands Bezek, Jerusalem, Hebron, Zephath, and the coastal cities of Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron. But, as a majority of the tribes of Israel fail in their military conquests out of fear and do not obey your commands to completely drive out the other nations from the land, I compassionate you. As a result of this failure to trust and obey your word, many of the tribes of Israel settle down in the land and, against your warning, intermingle with the people there. This results in the Israelites adopting pagan worship practices as well as enduring generations of servitude, persecution, and conflict with the Canaanites. But in your mercy, Lord, you raise up leaders in Israel known as judges, to correct the sin of Israel and to save them from the hand of their plunderers. I glorify your mercy, most holy Trinity, as your people are oppressed by the king of Mesopotamia for 8 years, and you listen to their cry to you for deliverance by raising up a humble man named Othniel, Caleb's nephew, as the first judge of Israel. You send your spirit upon him, and he defeats King Cushite of Mesopotamia, and your people live in prosperity and have rest from war for 40 years under the governance of Othniel. But, after his death, your people again did what was evil in your sight, Lord. So you gave them over into the hands of the Moabites, who oppressed them for 18 years. Each year, the Israelites were forced to pay tribute from their own produce to King Eglon, the ruler of Moab, who was a very fat and greedy man. As a result, the Israelites grew weaker as their resources were drained away. In their poverty, they turned back to you, O Lord. You hear the cry of your people, who are desperate for freedom, and you raise up for them a second judge, Ehud from the tribe of Benjamin, an unlikely hero, for he was left-handed. I follow you, divine will, as Ehud is among the men sent by Israel to deliver their yearly tribute of produce to King Eglon. Ehud crafts for himself a double-edged dagger, small enough to conceal but large enough to make a fatal blow, and since he is left-handed, he conceals it on his right thigh, where no one would think to check. After the Israelite men have made their long journey and present their tribute to King Eglon, Ehud stays in the presence of the king while the other men leave, and says to him, I have a secret message for you, O king. King Ehud, prideful and eager to hear the secret message, sends all his guards away. As he rose from his seat to approach Ehud, he took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into the fat king's belly. The fat around his belly absorbed the knife, and it went deep into his bowels. With all the king's attendants waiting outside, Ehud was able to escape to Seirah. When he arrived, he sounded the trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim, and the people of Israel went down with him from the hill country, and he said to them, Follow after me, for the Lord has given your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. So they went down after him, and seized the fords of the Jordan against the Moabites, and allowed not a man to pass over. And the Israelites, though weak from the lack of food, killed at that time about 10,000 of the Moabites, all strong, able-bodied men. Not one of them escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest for 80 years. After Ehud, Lord, you raise up Shamgar as the third judge of Israel, a simple farmer man who killed 600 of the Philistines all by himself with nothing but an ox goad, and he too delivered Israel. But after some time, Israel once again did what was evil in your sight, Lord. So you gave them over into the hands of the Canaanites, under King Jabin, and the commander of his army, Sisera, who oppressed them cruelly for 20 years. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at that time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the people of Israel came to her for judgment. One day she sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abinoam, and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from the tribe of Naphtali and the tribe of Zebulun, and I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon with his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand." Barak, fearfully hesitating before the command of the Lord, said to Deborah, "If you will go with me, I will go, but if you will not go with me, I will not go." In reply, she said to him, "I will surely go with you, nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead to your glory, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman." Then Deborah arose and went with Barak as he summoned Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and 10,000 men went up at his heels, and Deborah went up with him. When Sisera was told that Barak had gone up to Mount Tabor, he called out all his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all the men who were with him to the river Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, "Up, for this is the day in which the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Does not the Lord go out before you?" So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him, and the Lord sent a powerful rainstorm that flooded the Kishon River and turned the battlefield into mud, routing Sisera and all his chariots and all his army before Barak at the edge of the sword. And Sisera alighted from his chariot and fled away on foot. And Barak pursued the chariots and all the army of Sisera, and they fell by the edge of the sword. Not a man was left. As Sisera fled away on foot, Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, with whom he had a peace agreement, came out to meet Sisera, and she said to him, "Turn aside, my lord, turn aside, have no fear." So he went into her tent, and she covered him with a rug, and he said to her, "Pray, give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty." So she opened a skin of milk, and gave him a drink, and covered him. And he said to her, "Stand at the door of the tent, and if any man comes and asks you, 'Is anyone here?' say no." But as he was lying fast asleep from his weariness, Jael, the wife of Heber, took a tent peg and a hammer in her hand, and went softly to him, and drove the peg into his temple till it went down into the ground. So he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael went out to meet him, and said to him, "Come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking." So Barak went into her tent, and there lay Sisera dead, with the tent peg in his temple. On that day, Lord, you subdued Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the people of Israel, and the hand of your children bore harder and harder on him until he was utterly destroyed. And the land had rest for 40 years. Most Holy Trinity, I want to enter into the littleness of the judges that you raised up, into the littleness of all of the people that you infused with extraordinary courage to do incredible things. I love you in their faith, in their courage, and in their perseverance. I want to fuse myself within these divine qualities that you gave them, so that I too may be unwavering and steadfast for your kingdom and for your glory, Lord, no matter how many demons or insurmountable walls stand in my way. Infuse in my heart and in the hearts of all souls, past, present, and future, deeper confidence, deeper courage, and invincible faith. I compassionate you in your sorrow, my God, as your chosen people, after 40 years of peace, again did what was evil in your sight. So you gave them into the hands of the Midianites, who oppressed them for 7 years. The children of Israel made for themselves dens in the mountains and caves, for whenever they planted crops, the Midianites and the Amalekites and the people of the east would come up and attack them in great number like locusts. They would encamp against them and destroy the produce of the land as far as the neighborhood of Gaza, and leave no sustenance in Israel, and no sheep or ox or ass. They wasted the land as they came in, and Israel was brought very low because of Midian, and the people of Israel cried out for help to the Lord. When the people of Israel cried to you, Lord, on account of the Midianites, you sent an unknown prophet to them, saying, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I led you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of all who oppressed you, and drove them out before you and gave you their land. And I said to you, I am the Lord your God. You shall not pay reverence to the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But you have not given heed to my voice. I glorify your mercy and compassion, Lord, on your children, in the act in which you sent an angel to a man named Gideon, as he was beating out wheat in the wilderness to hide it from the Midianites. The angel said to him, The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor. But Gideon said to him, Pray, sir, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this befallen us? And where are all his wonderful deeds which our fathers recounted to us, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has cast us off, and given us into the hand of Midian. And the Lord turned to him and said, Go in this might of yours, and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. Do not I send you? But he said to him, Pray, Lord, how can I deliver Israel? Behold, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. The Lord said to him, But I will be with you, and you shall smite the Midianites as one man. And he said to him, If now I have found favor with thee, then show me a sign that it is thou who speakest with me. Do not depart from me here, I pray thee, until I come to thee and bring out my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will stay till you return. So Gideon went into his house and prepared a kid and unleavened cakes from an ephah of flour. The meat he put in a basket, and the broth he put in a pot, and brought them to him under the oak and presented them. And the angel of God said to him, Take the meat and the unleavened cakes, and put them on this rock, and pour the broth over them. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord reached out the tip of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the meat and the unleavened cakes, and there sprang up fire from the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. When Gideon perceived that he was the angel of the Lord, he said, Alas, O Lord God, for now I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. But the Lord said to him, Peace be to you, do not fear, you shall not die. Then Gideon built an altar there to the Lord, and called it, The Lord is Peace. I follow you, most holy Trinity, as you come to Gideon later that night, and command him to tear down his father's altars to Baal and the idol of Asherah beside it, and rebuild an altar to you, Lord, and sacrifice his father's bull upon it. So Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as you had told him. But because he was too afraid of his family and the men of the town to do it by day, he did it by night. When the men of the town arose in the morning and saw that the altar had been cut down, they inquired among themselves as to who had done it. When they discovered that it was Gideon, they went to his father Joash and told him to bring out his son that he may die. But Joash said to all who were arrayed against him, Will you contend for Baal, or will you defend his cause? Whoever contends for him shall be put to death by morning. If he is a god, let him contend for himself, because his altar has been pulled down. Therefore from that day on Gideon was called by the people Jerubbaal, which means, Let Baal contend against him, because he had pulled down his altar. I follow you, divine will, in the moment in which all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the people of the east came together, and crossing the Jordan they encamped in the valley of Jezreel. But your spirit took possession of Gideon, and he sounded the trumpet, and the Abiezrites were called out to follow him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, and they too were called out to follow him. And he sent messengers to Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, and they all went up to meet him. Then Gideon, wanting to be sure of victory, said to you, Lord, If thou wilt deliver Israel by my hand as thou hast said, behold, I am laying a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece alone, and it is dry on all the ground, then I shall know that thou wilt deliver Israel by my hand." And it was so. When Gideon rose early next morning and squeezed the fleece, he wrung enough dew from the fleece to fill a bowl with water. Then Gideon, seeking another sign of assurance, said to you once again, "Let not thy anger burn against me, let me speak but this once. Pray, let it be dry only on the fleece, and on the ground let there be dew." And you did this for him that night, for on the next day it was dry on the fleece only, and on all the ground there was dew. Strengthened by this sign from heaven, Jerubbaal, that is, Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the spring of Harod. And you, Lord, said to Gideon, "The people with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hand, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, 'My own hand has delivered me.' Now therefore proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, 'Whoever is fearful and trembling, let him return home.'" And Gideon tested them. 22,000 returned, and 10,000 remained. Then you said to Gideon, "The people are still too many. Take them down to the water, and I will test them for you there." So he brought the people down to the water, and you said to him, "Everyone that laps the water with his tongue as a dog laps, you shall set by himself. Likewise everyone that kneels down to drink." And the number of those that lapped, putting their hands to their mouths, was 300 men. But all the rest of the people knelt down to drink water. And you said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped, I will deliver you, and give the Midianites into your hand, and let all the others go, every man to his own home." That same night, Lord, you came to Gideon again, saying, "Arise, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hand. But if you fear to go down to the camp with Purah your servant, and you shall hear what they say, and afterward your hands shall be strengthened to go down against the camp." So Gideon went down with his servant to the outposts of the armed men that were in the camp. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the people of the east lay along the valley like locusts for multitude, and their camels were without number, as sand upon the sea. When Gideon came, behold, a man was telling a dream to his comrade, and he said, "Behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the camp of Midian, and came to the tent, and struck it so that it fell, and turned it upside down, so that the tent lay flat." And his comrade answered, "This is no other than the sword of Gideon the son of Joash, a man of Israel. Into his hand God has given Midian and all the host." I glorify you in the act in which Gideon overheard the telling of the dream and its interpretation, and he worshipped you, most holy Trinity. I love you in the act in which Gideon returned to the camp of Israel and said, "Arise, for the Lord has given the host of Midian into your hand." And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and put trumpets into the hands of all of them, and jars with torches inside of them. And he said to them, "Look at me, and do likewise. When I come to the outskirts of the camp, do as I do. When I blow the trumpet, I and all who are with me, then blow the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" So Gideon and the 100 men who were with him came to the outskirts of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, and they blew the trumpets, holding in their left hands the torches, and in their right hands the trumpets. And they cried, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" They stood every man in his place round about the camp, and all the army ran. They cried out and fled. When they blew the 300 trumpets, the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow and against all the army, and the army fled. Then the men of Israel were called out from Naphtali and from Asher and from all Manasseh, and they pursued after Midian. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against the Midianites, and seize the waters against them." So all the men of Ephraim were called out, and they seized the waters as far as Bethbarah and also the Jordan. And they took the 2 princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. They killed Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and Zeb they killed at the winepress of Zeb, as they pursued Midian. And they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon beyond the Jordan. Now the men of Ephraim, who considered themselves the superior tribe, were angry and offended that they had not been invited to fight earlier on. But Gideon abates their anger by telling them that their conquest over the princes of the land was a greater thing than the initial attack. I follow you, divine will, as Gideon's army of 300 men passed through the land of Succoth, And he said to the men there, "Pray, give loaves of bread to the people who follow me, for they are faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian." But the officials of Succoth said, "Are Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hand, that we should give bread to your army?" And Gideon said, "Well then, when the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, I will flail your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars." And from there he went up to Penuel, and spoke to them in the same way. And the men of Penuel answered him, just as the men of Succoth. So Gideon said to the men of Penuel, "When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower." So, because Succoth and Penuel had refused them bread, Gideon's army went into battle faint and hungry. Yet they successfully captured the 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and threw the army into a panic. Then Gideon returned to the men of Succoth and punished all their elders with wilderness thorns and briars, as he said, and he broke the tower of Penuel and slew all the men of the city. Then Gideon, who had the 2 kings with him, said to Jether his firstborn, "Rise and slay them." But the youth did not draw his sword, for he was afraid because he was still a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, "Rise yourself and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength." So Gideon arose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and he took the crescents that were on the necks of their camels. After the victory, the men of Israel said to Gideon, "Rule over us, you and your son and your grandson also, for you have delivered us out of the hand of Midian." Gideon said to them, "I will not rule over you, and my son will not rule over you. The Lord will rule over you." While Gideon had a good intention to honor you, Lord, I compassionate you in your sorrow, as it seems that he inadvertently leads the Israelites into idolatry. He has them gather all the golden spoils of war, which he melts, and has fashioned into an ephod which is placed in his city. All of Israel worshipped the priestly garment there, and it became a snare to Gideon and to his family. And even though he had initially refused to rule over Israel, he ends up reigning as king and takes for himself many wives, which is warned against in the law of Moses. So Gideon had 70 sons, his own offspring, and his concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son, and he called his name Abimelech. Despite Gideon's imperfections and the careless idolatry of Israel in worshipping a priestly garment, the land had rest from war for 40 years. But after Gideon died, the people of Israel turned again and played the harlot after the Baals and made Baal-berith their god. And the people of Israel did not remember the Lord their God, who had rescued them from the hand of all their enemies on every side. And they did not show kindness to the family of Jerubbaal, that is, Gideon, in return for all the good that he had done to Israel. I compassionate you in your immense sorrow, most holy Trinity, over the brutal slaughter that took place in Israel, as Gideon's son Abimelech rises up and seizes power through violence. I make reparation for all rulers past, present, and future who have ever sinned because they wanted power, by offering you everything you suffered in your head, Jesus, when you were crowned with thorns. I pour these sufferings and reparations into the minds of all leaders so that they may convert, amend their ways, and be saved. I keep you company, my God, as Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem, to his mother's kinsmen, and said to them and to the whole clan of his mother's family, "Say in the ears of all the citizens of Shechem, which is better for you, that all 70 of the sons of Jerubbaal rule over you, or that one rule over you? Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh." And his mother's kinsmen spoke all these words on his behalf in the ears of all the men of Shechem, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, "He is our brother." And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal-berith, with which Abimelech hired worthless and reckless fellows who followed him. Then he went to his father's house and slew his brothers, 70 men, all upon one stone. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left, for he hid himself. After the massacre, all the citizens of Shechem came together, and all Beth Millo, and they went and made Abimelech king by the oak of the pillar at Shechem. When it was told to Jotham that his murderous brother had been made king, he went and stood on the top of Mount Gerizim, and cried out in a loud voice, saying to all the people, "Listen to me, you men of Shechem, that God may listen to you. The trees once went forth to anoint a king over them, and they said to the olive tree, 'Reign over us.' But the olive tree said to them, 'Shall I leave my fatness by which gods and men are honored, and go to sway over the trees?' And the trees said to the fig tree, 'Come you and reign over us.' But the fig tree said to them, 'Shall I leave my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to sway over the trees?' And the trees said to the vine, 'Come you and reign over us.' But the vine said to them, 'Shall I leave my wine, which cheers gods and men, and go to sway over the trees?' Then all the trees said to the bramble, 'Come you and reign over us.' And the bramble said to the trees, 'If in good faith you are anointing me king over you, then come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now therefore, if you acted in good faith and honor when you made Abimelech king, and if you have dealt well with Jerubbaal and his house, and have done to him as his deeds deserved, for my father fought for you and risked his life and rescued you from the hand of Midian, and you have risen up against my father's house this day, and have slayed his sons, 70 men on one stone, and have made Abimelech, the son of his maidservant, king over the citizens of Shechem, because he is your kinsman, if you then have acted in good faith and honor with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech, and devour the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come out from the citizens of Shechem and from Beth Millo, and devour Abimelech." And Jotham ran away and fled after he had said this, and went to Beer and dwelt there. The people did not heed the warning of Jotham, and Abimelech ruled over Israel 3 years. So God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the violence done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might come, and their blood be laid upon Abimelech their brother, who slew them, and upon the men of Shechem, who strengthened his hands to slay his brothers. So stirred up by evil spirits, the men of Shechem turned the people of the city against Abimelech. When he heard of this, Abimelech with his men rushed against the city, slaying everyone in their path, men, women, and children. He completely destroyed the town and its buildings, and covered the ground with salt, so that the land would never again produce crops. Many of the townspeople took refuge in the temples of the gods, so Abimelech burned the temples with fire, so that all of the people died. But when Abimelech came to one of the towers and drew near to the door to burn it with fire, a certain woman threw an upper millstone upon Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Then, as he was dying, he called hastily to the young man, his armor-bearer, and said to him, "Draw your sword and kill me, lest men say of me, 'A woman killed him.'" So his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed, every man to his home. Thus God requited the crime of Abimelech, which he committed against his father, in killing his 70 brothers. And God also made all the wickedness of the men of Shechem fall back upon their heads, and upon them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. It happened just as he had warned them it would, but they had not listened. After Abimelech there arose a judge to deliver Israel, Tola, a man of Issachar, who lived in Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years. After he died, Jair the Gileadite arose, and he judged Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode on 30 asses, and they governed 30 cities in the land of Gilead. Then Jair died and was buried in Chemon. The land of Israel had peace for 45 years, before they again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and turned to worship idols. So you, Lord, delivered them into the hands of the Philistines and of the Ammonites, who crushed and oppressed them for 18 years. Then the people of Israel cried to you, saying, "We have sinned against thee, because we have forsaken our God and have served the Baals." And you said to them, "Did I not deliver you from the Egyptians and from the Amorites, from the Ammonites and from the Philistines, the Sidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites? You cried out to me, and I delivered you from their hand. Yet you have forsaken me and served other gods. Therefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry to the gods whom you have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your distress. But the people of Israel said to you, Lord, we have sinned. Do to us whatever seems good to thee. Only deliver us, we pray thee, this day. So they put away the foreign gods from among them and served the Lord. I glorify you in your mercy, Lord, as you were moved to compassion over the misery of your children. I follow you, divine will, as the Ammonites were called to arms, and the people, the leaders of Gilead, said to one another, Who is the man that will begin to fight against the Ammonites? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. Now Jephthah, the Gileadite, was a mighty warrior, but he was the son of a harlot and of Gilead, a prominent man in the region. Gilead's wife also bore him sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they thrust Jephthah out and said to him, You shall not inherit in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman. So Jephthah fled from his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob. There worthless fellows collected round Jephthah and went raiding with him. After a time, the Ammonites made war against Israel, so the elders of Gilead went to bring Jephthah from the land of Tob, saying to him, Come and be our leader, that we may fight with the Ammonites. But Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, Did you not hate me and drive me out of my father's house? Why have you come to me now when you are in trouble? So the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, We have turned to you now, that you may go with us and fight with the Ammonites, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, If you bring me home again to fight with the Ammonites, and the Lord gives them over to me, I will be your head. And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, The Lord will be witness between us. We will surely do as you say. So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and leader over them. And Jephthah spoke all his words before the Lord at Mizpah. Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites, recounting the long history of the Ammonites and the Israelites, proving that the reason Israel was being attacked was based upon lies. And he threatened the king with divine judgment for the lies and for the bloodshed. But the king refused to respond to the clear evidence and insisted on waging an unjust war. So your spirit, Lord, came upon Jephthah, and he passed on to do battle with the Ammonites. But Jephthah made a reckless vow to you that you never would have wanted him to make, saying to you, If thou wilt give the Ammonites into my hand, then whoever comes forth from the doors of my house to meet me, when I return victorious from the Ammonites, shall be the Lord's, and I will offer him up for a burnt offering. So Jephthah crossed over to the Ammonites to fight against them, and the Lord gave them into his hand. And he smote them with a very great slaughter, and the Ammonites were subdued before the people of Israel. Then, triumphant in battle, Jephthah came to his home at Mizpah, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances. She was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. When he saw her, he rent his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low, and you have become the cause of great trouble to me, for I have opened my mouth to the Lord, and I cannot take back my vow. And she said to him, Do to me according to what has gone forth from your mouth. Only let me alone 2 months, that I may go and wander on the mountains, and bewail my virginity, I and my companions. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months, and she departed, she and her companions, and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And at the end of the 2 months she returned to her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had made. She had never known a man, and it became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went year by year to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in the year. Meanwhile, the men of Ephraim were called to arms, but, prideful and infuriated that they had not been summoned sooner, they said to Jephthah, Why did you cross over to fight against the Ammonites and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house over you with fire. Jephthah responded that he had indeed called them to arms, but that they did not respond. When they continued to insult him and his tribe, Jephthah gathered all the Gideonites against the men of Ephraim, and they took the fords of the Jordan against the Ephraimites. And when any of the fugitives of Ephraim said, "Let me go over," the men of Gilead said to them, "Are you an Ephraimite?" When he said, "No," they said to him, "Then say Shibboleth." But they would say Sibboleth, for they could not pronounce it right. Then they would slay the man. And there fell at that time 42,000 of the Ephraimites. Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then he died and was buried in his city in Gilead. After Jephthah came 3 more judges, Ibzan, then Elon, then Abdon. They ruled Israel over the span of 25 years. But after a little bit of peace, the people again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So he gave them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. Though they do not deserve it, you, Lord, have compassion on your people, and send an angel to a barren woman from the tribe of Dan, saying, "Behold, you are barren and have no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Therefore beware, and drink no wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean. No razor should touch the boy's head, for lo, he shall be a Nazirite to God from birth. He shall begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines." So she told her husband Manoah of what had happened, and she gave birth to the boy and named him Samson, consecrating him to the Lord. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord was upon him. Samson was strong in physical strength, but weak in spiritual strength. He was enamored with the Philistine woman. Once he went to Timnah and saw one of the women there. He went to his parents and asked them to get her for his wife, but they disapproved of it because Mosaic law forbids intermarrying with the Canaanites, though they eventually gave in to his request. I glorify your providence and mercy, Lord, in working this weakness of Samson for your glory and as part of your design to bring down the Philistines. So Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah, and he came to the vineyards there. And behold, a young lion roared against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he tore the lion asunder as one tears a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. After a while he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, there was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion, and they had produced honey. So he scraped it out with his hands, and went on, eating as he went. As he came to his father and mother, and gave some to them, they ate. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion, for it went against Mosaic law, as well as his Nazirite vow, to touch a dead body. After this, his father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, for so the young men used to do. And when the people saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him, and Samson said to them, "Let me now put a riddle to you. If you can tell me what it is within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments. But if you cannot tell me what it is, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments." And they said to him, "Put your riddle, that we may hear it." And he said to them, "Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." But they could not in 3 days tell what the riddle was. On the 4th day they said to Samson's wife, "Entice your husband to tell us what the riddle is, lest we burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us here to impoverish us?" So Samson's wife wept before him and said, "You only hate me, you do not love me. You have put a riddle to my countrymen, and you have not told me what it is." And he said to her, "Behold, I have not told my father nor my mother, and shall I tell you?" She wept before him the 7 days that their wedding feast lasted, and on the 7th day he told her, because she pressed him hard. Then she told the riddle to her countrymen, and the men of the city said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Knowing that they must have gotten the answer from his wife, he said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle." And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and killed 30 men of the town and took their spoil, And he gave the festal garments to those who had told the riddle. In hot anger he went back to his father's house. But because he heard of what Samson had done, the father of his wife gave his daughter instead to Samson's companion, who had been his best man. When Samson heard of this, he went and caught 300 foxes, turned them tail to tail, took torches and put them in between each pair of tails. When he had set them on fire, he let them run and burn up the Philistines' grain and orchards. When the Philistines found out that Samson had done this, they took his wife and her father and had them burned with fire. Because of this, Samson smote them hip and thigh with great slaughter. Then he fled to the cleft of a rock. Then the Philistines came up and made a raid against the men of Judah. So they said, "Why have you come up against us?" The Philistines replied, "We have come up to bind Samson, to do to him as he did to us." Then 3,000 men of Judah went down to the cleft of the rock of Etam. Samson allowed himself to be bound with rope, and they gave him into the hands of the Philistines. But when he was brought into their hands, the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the ropes which were on his arms became as flax that had caught fire, and his bonds melted off of his hands. Then Samson found a fresh jawbone of an ass, and with it he slew 1,000 men, and said, "With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jawbone of an ass have I slayed 1,000 men." After this, he was very thirsty, and he called on the Lord and said, "Thou hast granted this great deliverance by the hand of thy servant, and shall I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised? So you, Lord, split open the hollow place that is at Lehi, and there came water from it. And when Samson drank, his spirit returned, and he revived. I glorify your mercy, Lord, in working through us, even in sin and weakness. And I follow you in the moment in which Samson went to Gaza, and there he saw a harlot, and he went into her. The Gazites were told, "Samson has come here." So they surrounded the place in which he lay, and they waited for him all night at the gate of the city. Samson lay with the harlot till midnight. Then he arose and took hold of the doors of the gate of the city and the 2 posts, and pulled them up, bar and all, and put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that is before Hebron. After the harlot, he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. So the lords of the Philistines came to her and said, "Entice Samson, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may overpower him, that we may bind him to subdue him. Then we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Please, tell me wherein your great strength lies, and how you might be bound, that one could subdue you." And Samson said to her, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings which have not been dried, then I shall become weak, and be like any other man." So the lords of the Philistines brought over 7 fresh bowstrings which had not been dried, and Delilah bound him with them. Now she had men lying in wait in an inner chamber, and she said to Samson, "The Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the bowstrings, as a string of tow snaps when it touches the fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. And Delilah said to Samson, "Behold, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you might be bound." And he said to her, "If they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I shall become weak and be like any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them, and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And the men lying in wait were in an inner chamber. But he snapped the ropes off his hand like a thread. And Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you might be bound." And he said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web, and make it tight with the pin, then I shall become weak and be like any other man." So, while he slept, Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove them into the web. And she made them tight with the pin, and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he awoke from his sleep and pulled away the pin, the loom, and the web. And she said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and you have not told me wherein your great strength lies." And when she pressed him hard with her words day after day and urged him, his soul was vexed to death. So he told her all his mind, and said to her, A razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If I be shaved, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. When Delilah saw that he had told her all his mind, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he has told me all his mind. Then the lords of the Philistines came up to her, and brought the money in their hands. She made him sleep upon her knees, and she called a man, and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. Then she said, The Philistines are upon you, Samson. And he awoke from his sleep, and said, I will go out as at other times, and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had left him. And the Philistines seized him, and gouged out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with bronze fetters, and he ground at the mill in the prison. I compassionate you in your sorrow, my God, as you see Samson, who has stripped himself of his strength by allowing himself to be seduced. In the person of Samson you behold all souls past, present, and future, in the moment in which they commit sin and strip themselves of your grace and strength, allowing themselves to be taunted and owned as slaves by the enemy of their souls. I want to multiply myself over the heart of each soul in the moment in which they are weakened by sin, and pour graces of encouragement, that they may hope in your infinite mercy and regain their strength and nobility as your children. I follow you, divine will, as the Philistines make merry and offer sacrifice to their false god for having delivered Samson into their hand. The house of idolatry was full of men and women. All the lords of the Philistines were there, and on the roof there were about 3,000 men and women, who looked on while Samson was held in chains and mocked as a trophy. They made him stand between 2 pillars of the house on which he leans his hands. Heavenly Father, I enter into the moment in which Samson called out to you and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be avenged upon the Philistines for one of my 2 eyes. And Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars upon which the house rested, and he leaned his weight upon them, his right hand on the one and his left hand on the other. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. Then he bowed with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were in it. So the dead whom he slew at his death were more than those whom he had slain during his life. Then his brothers and all his family came down and took him, and brought him up and buried him in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had judged Israel for 20 years. Now in those days Israel had no king, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. I compassionate you, most holy Trinity, for all sins and sacrileges committed for greedy and malicious purposes, or only because of some ignorance, past, present, and future. I repair you for all sins committed because souls did not take the time to learn your law and commit it to heart. To repair for all these crimes, I offer you the life of our Blessed Mother, who kept the words of Scripture inscribed in her heart, making your instruction a lamp unto her feet and a light unto her path. I follow you, divine will, as a man named Micah from Ephraim stole 1,100 pieces of silver from his mother. He confessed his sin to her only after she placed a curse upon whoever the thief was. When she saw that it was him, though, she revoked her curse and blessed her son. And to ensure that God's wrath would not fall down upon her son, she ignorantly had the pieces of silver melted into a graven image to be worshipped, consecrating it to the Lord and believing it would bring down his blessing. She gave the idol to her son Micah, and he made also an ephod and a teraphim, placed them in a shrine, and he installed one of his own sons to be a priest, for in those days Israel had no king, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Now, one day a young Levite man sojourned from Judah to Bethlehem, seeking a stable place to live and work. because the Levites were supposed to be supported by the other tribes, but due to the chaos in the land, many Levites were not given stable residences and were forced to be sojourners. The young Levite's name was Jonathan, and he was Moses' grandson. Now Jonathan came knocking on Micah's door, seeking a place to stay, and Micah saw this as an opportunity to gain the Lord's blessing. He knows that only Levites are authorized to be priests, so he hires Jonathan as his personal priest in place of his non-Levite son. He says to himself, "Now I know that the Lord will prosper me, because I have a Levite as priest." But he seems to be unaware that only Levites from the line of Aaron can serve as priests. Not to mention the fact that the altar and manner of worship he has in his home is idolatrous and not at all according to God's design, since sacrifice was only authorized in the temple in the first place. Now, in those days, the tribe of the Danites were still seeking an inheritance to dwell in, since they had failed to follow God's commands to conquer their allotted territory. So they sent 5 strong men from their tribe to explore the land of Ephraim. When they came to Micah's house, they recognized the dialect of Jonathan and questioned him about what he was doing there. So he showed them the shrine and answered them that he had been hired as Micah's personal priest, and so they went their way. When they returned to their kinsfolk, having scouted out the whole land, they brought back a positive report that the land was fertile and it would be easy to overtake. So 600 men from the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, came to take the land. When they arrived at Micah's house, the 5 spies brought them to the house of Micah to steal the valuable idols. So the 600 men stood by the gate while the spies went in and stole the graven image, the ephod, and the teraphim. When Jonathan questioned them, "What are you doing?" they said to him, "Keep quiet, put your hand upon your mouth, and come with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest in the house of one man, or to be priest to a tribe and family in Israel?" At the words of the spy, Jonathan's heart was glad. So he took the ephod and the teraphim and the graven image and went into the midst of the people to be the priest of the whole tribe of Dan. Taking what Micah had made, and the illegitimate priest who belonged to him, the Danites came to Laish, to a people quiet and unsuspecting, and smote them with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. Then they rebuilt the city and dwelt in it. They named the city Dan, after Dan their ancestor who was born to Israel. And the Danites set up the graven image for themselves, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, son of Moses, and his sons were priests to the tribe of the Danites until the day of the captivity of the land. So they set up Micah's graven image which he had made, as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. Thus the idolatrous practices invented by one man became the practice of an entire tribe. For in those days Israel had no king, and everyone did what was good in their own eyes. I want to repair you, Jesus, for all times past, present, and future, in which your instructions for worship have not been heeded, and souls have taken their own twist upon worship, that souls have done what seemed good in their own eyes, and have created their own sort of religion based upon the church that you established. I want to repair you for all of the illegitimate brands of Christianity that were invented by people that thought that they knew better. I want to repair you for all of the false religions that have stolen elements from Christianity. I want to repair you for all of these offenses by offering you, Jesus, your own perfect obedience to the Jewish law that you observed when you were on earth. And I want to go around to all souls, past, present, and future, who follow these false religions or these warped versions of Christianity, of Catholicism. And I want to pour graces of conversion into them so that they may be enlightened to know the truth and be given grace to do what you want them to do, to come closer to following your divine instructions on worship. I want to compassionate you, my God, in the devastating tragedy that occurred when a certain Levite was sojourning in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim. He had taken for himself a concubine, but she had become angry with him and ran away to her father's house. But after 4 months, her husband arose and went after her to speak kindly to her and bring her back. He took the journey with his servant and with 2 saddled donkeys. When he arrived at the house, his father-in-law rose with joy to meet him and made him stay. They ate and drank merrily for 3 days. On the 4th day, the man arose early in the morning, and he prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Strengthen your heart with a morsel of bread, and after that you may go." So the 2 men sat and ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to the man, "Be pleased to spend the night, and let your heart be merry." But when the man rose up to go, his father-in-law urged him till he lodged there again. On the 5th day, the man arose early in the morning to depart, but the girl's father said, "Strengthen your heart and tarry until the day declines." So they ate, both of them. When the man and his concubine and his servant rose up to depart, his father-in-law said to him, "Behold, now the day has waned toward evening. Pray, tarry all night, and tomorrow you shall arise early in the morning for your journey and go home." But the man would not spend the night. He rose up, took his concubine with him, and they made the journey home. When they were near Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said to his master, "Come now, let us turn aside to the city of the Jebusites and spend the night." But his master said to him, "We will not stay in the city of foreigners who do not belong to the people of Israel, but we will pass on to Gibeah." And he said to his servant, "Come, and let us draw near to one of these places, and spend the night at Gibeah or at Ramah." So they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside there to go in and spend the night at Gibeah. But no man took them into their house to spend the night. So they went and sat down in the open square of the city. And behold, as they sat there, an old man was coming from his work in the field at evening. He lifted up his eyes and saw the wayfarer in the open square of the city. And the old man said, "Where are you going, and whence do you come?" And he said to him, "We are passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, from which I come. I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to my home, and nobody takes me into his house. We have straw and provender for our asses, with bread and wine for me and your maidservant, and for the young man and your servants. There is no lack of anything." So the old man said, "Peace be to you. I will care for all your wants. Only do not spend the night in the square." So he brought him into his house, and gave the asses provender, and they washed their feet, and ate and drank. As they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, base fellows, beset the house round about, beating on the door, and said to the old man, "Bring out the man who came into your house, that we may know him." And the man, the master of the house, went out to them and said, "No, my brethren, do not act so wickedly. Seeing that this man has come into my house, do not do this vile thing. Behold, here are my virgin daughter and his concubine. Let me bring them out now. Ravish them, and do with them what seems good to you. But against this man do not do so vile a thing." But the men would not listen to him, and continued to pound on the door. So the Levite man seized his concubine, and put her out to them. And they knew her, and abused her all night until the morning. As the dawn began to break, they let her go. As morning appeared, the woman came and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was, till it was light. And her master rose up in the morning, and when he opened the doors of the house and went out to go on his way, behold, there was his concubine lying at the door of the house, with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, "Get up, let us be going." But there was no answer. Then he put her upon the donkey, and the man rose up and went away to his home. And when he entered his house, he took a knife, and, laying hold of his concubine, he divided her, limb by limb, into 12 pieces. and sent her throughout all the territory of Israel, so that outrage would be sparked against the Benjamites, who had abused her. And all who saw it said, "Such a thing has never happened or been seen from the day that the people of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak." Then all the people of Israel came out, all the tribes except for the Benjamites, and the congregation assembled as one man to the Lord at Mizpah. And the chiefs of all the tribes presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 men on foot that drew the sword. And the people said, "Tell us, how was this wickedness brought to pass?" And the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, "I came to Gibeah that belongs to Benjamin, I and my concubine, to spend the night. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about me by night. They meant to kill me, and they ravished my concubine, and she is dead. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel, for they have committed abomination and wantonness in Israel. Behold, you people of Israel, all of you, give your advice and counsel here." So all the people of Israel arose as one man to gather against the city of Gibeah. They sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What wickedness is this that has taken place among you? Now therefore, give up the men, the base fellows in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel." But the Benjamites would not listen to the voice of their brethren, the people of Israel, and all of the Benjamites came together out of all of their cities to Gibeah, to go out to battle against the people of Israel. So the people of Israel arose and went up to Bethel, and they inquired of God, "Which of us shall go up first to battle against the Benjamites?" And the Lord said, "Judah shall go up first." So the men of Judah went up in battle against the Benjamites, and 22,000 of their men fell. So they went up and wept before the Lord until the evening, and they inquired of the Lord, "Shall we again draw near to battle against our brethren the Benjamites?" And the Lord said, "Go up against them." So all the people of Israel came near against the Benjamites the second day, and there fell to the ground 18,000 of their men. I keep you company, divine will, as all the people of Israel, the whole army, went up and came to Bethel and wept. They sat there before you, Lord, and fasted that day until evening, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the people of Israel inquired of you before the ark of the covenant, saying, "Shall we yet again go out to battle against our brethren the Benjamites, or shall we cease?" And you said to them, Lord, "Go up, for tomorrow I will give them into your hand." So on the third day, the 11 tribes of Israel set men in ambush around Gibeah, and slew 25,000 Benjamite warriors, then made an ambush and smote the whole city with the sword. They went into all the towns in which the Benjamites dwelt, and set them on fire. Only 600 fighting men from Benjamin survived. I enter into the moment in which the 11 tribes gathered that evening, and wept bitterly before the Lord, for one of their tribes was nearing extinction. They were moved to compassion for Benjamin, their brother. The next morning they rose early and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord, and inquired of themselves if any men from any region had not come to the gathering at Mizpah, because they had solemnly sworn that any man who did not come to Mizpah would be put to death. When it was found that none from the land of Jabesh-Gilead had come to the assembly, the congregation sent out 12,000 of their bravest men and commanded them, "Go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh-Gilead with the edge of the sword, also the women and the little ones. This is what you shall do. Every male and every woman that has lain with a male you shall utterly destroy." And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh-Gilead 400 young virgins, and they brought them to the camp at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then the whole congregation sent word to the Benjamites, who were at the rock of Rimmon, and proclaimed peace to them. And Benjamin returned at that time, and they gave them the woman whom they had saved alive of the woman of Jabesh-Gilead. And there were 600 men left with the Benjamite tribe nearing extinction. So the elders of the congregation said, "What shall we do for wives for those who are left, since the women are destroyed out of Benjamin?" And they said, "There must be an inheritance for the survivors of Benjamin, that a tribe be not blotted out from Israel. Yet we cannot give them wives of our daughters, for the people of Israel had sworn, 'Cursed be he who gives a wife to Benjamin.'" So they said, "Behold, There is the yearly feast of the Lord at Shiloh, which is north of Bethel, on the east of the highway that goes from Bethel to Shechem, and south of Lebanah. And they commanded the Benjamites, saying, Go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and watch. If the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in the dances, then come out of the vineyards and seize each man his wife from the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And when their fathers or their brothers come to complain to us, we will say to them, Grant them graciously to us, because we did not take for each man of them his wife in battle, neither did you give them to them, else you would now be guilty. So the Benjamites did so, and took their wives according to their number, from the dancers whom they carried off. Then they went and returned to their inheritance, and rebuilt the towns and dwelt in them. Most Holy Trinity, I want to thank you on behalf of all souls, past, present, and future, for the faithfulness that you showed to your children, Israel, for every grace that you poured upon a poor soul that you raised up to do great things. I give you infinite thanksgiving, and I want to use each and every work of power that you showed through your judges, through the little souls that you raised up. I want to use all of these acts as a powerful prayer to ask you to send your kingdom quickly upon this earth. And I want to repair you for all times past, present, and future in which souls have gone astray from what you would have desired. I repair you for all the disobediences, for all of the tragic misunderstandings that souls have had on how to follow you, on what you would desire. And I want to go around to all souls and place the perfect life of Jesus over all of these moments, so that the Heavenly Father will receive the glory as if everyone had done what was right in your eyes, Most Holy Trinity. I want to give you the perfectly redone version of every human being's life, so that rising up to the eternal throne, each and every act, each and every situation, each and every broken situation will actually appear as beautiful, harmonious, and full of divine love. I offer you, Most Holy Trinity, the perfect life that Jesus lived when he was on earth, so that you may have your kingdom in all of the souls in the world. Fiat.